Have you ever really thought about what makes a toy safe? I mean, it's got to be more than just making sure there are no sharp edges, right? Well, today we are going deep. We're going to peel back the label on the toys and sporting goods industry to get a look at the hidden world of chemical safety standards. Let's get into it.
So you're in the store, you see a toy, you figure, hey, it's on the shelf, it must be safe. But how can you actually be sure? What's really happening behind the curtain to protect our families from potentially harmful chemicals?
And see, that's the big problem. The word safe can mean wildly different things depending on which company you're talking about. Without some kind of common standard, it's pretty much impossible to compare them, whether you're an investor trying to figure out risk or, just a parent trying to make a good choice.
Okay, this is where the Sustainability Accounting Standards Board, or SASB, steps in. Now part of the IFRS Foundation, SASB basically creates a common language, a single rule book, so that every company is reporting on the stuff that actually matters in the exact same way. You can think of a SASB standard as the complete playbook. It lays out the industry, it identifies the really important stuff that needs to be disclosed, like chemical safety, and it gives companies the specific tools they need to measure and report on their performance. The goal? To make it clear, and maybe most importantly, totally comparable.
All right, so let's drill down and get specific. When we're talking about chemical safety in toys and sporting goods, what are the key things, the key metrics that really tell the story? The standard really boils it down to three main things. Now, two of them are about what happened in the past. You've got product recalls and any financial losses from legal trouble. But the third one, that one's arguably the most important. It's about the future. It's about a company's actual process for stopping problems before they can even start.
First up, recalls. This one's pretty straightforward, but wow, is it powerful. This number captures every single time a product had to be yanked from the market because of a potential hazard. It's a very direct, very public measure of a product safety failure.
Next, you've got the financial hit. And we're not just talking about a few fines here. This is the total cost of getting safety wrong. We're talking settlements, liabilities, the whole shebang. For an investor looking at a company, a big number here is a massive red flag.
But, and this is so important, you have to remember that recalls and fines are what we call lagging indicators. They tell you about mistakes that have already been made. If you want to understand a company's real commitment to safety and what its future risk looks like, you've got to look way deeper at its core philosophy.
And now we are getting to the absolute heart of it, the difference between managing a hazard and managing a risk. I know it might sound like we're just playing with words, but believe me, this distinction is a total game changer in the world of corporate safety.
Okay, so a hazard-based approach is pretty black and white. It asks a simple question: is this chemical toxic? If the answer is yes, then that chemical is out, period. It's sort of like saying fire is inherently dangerous, so let's just ban all matches.
Now, a risk-based approach, that's more like how a firefighter thinks. It starts with, okay, yes, fire is dangerous, but then it asks, how likely is it that this match will start a fire in this specific situation, and what's the potential damage if it does? It's all about context and probability.
So what you end up with are two completely different playbooks. One philosophy is all about banning certain ingredients outright. The other is about managing the final recipe and how it's used. Just knowing which approach a company takes tells you so much about its fundamental view on safety.
And look, this isn't just some abstract philosophy that sits in a company handbook. It's a thread that runs through the entire life of a product, from the very first sketch on a drawing board to the materials they buy, all the way to the packaging that ends up on a store shelf.
You know, what's really fascinating here is that the smartest companies, they don't just follow the rules we have today. They're always trying to stay ahead of the curve. They're looking at emerging science, they're actually listening to what consumers are worried about, and they're trying to anticipate the next big safety concern before it ever becomes a headline.
So let's pull back for a second. What is the big picture takeaway? We've gone through some pretty nitty-gritty details here. Why does any of this really matter?
It matters because it completely changes the game when it comes to corporate accountability. We're moving past just asking companies, so what are you doing? This standard forces them to explain why they're doing it that way, to actually open up their playbook and reveal their core safety philosophy.
And this isn't just about spreadsheets and numbers. For an investor, it's about seeing into the future and predicting risk. For the rest of us, it's about trust. It's about getting a real sense that the products we bring into our homes are made by a brand that genuinely cares about safety.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? As we get more and more of this kind of transparent information, are we gonna start shopping differently?
Will we begin to choose products not just for what they do, but for the very philosophy of safety that was used to create them? Something to think about.